Good evening, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As you know, it's just after 8:30 here in the United Kingdom, and we're live from the studios of British Muslim TV in Wakefield with this week's live edition of Questions with who? Me, Mohammed Shafiq. We're broadcasting now on Sky Channel 752 and across social media at British Muslim TV. Wherever you are joining us, a very warm welcome. Now, we want you to comment on the big stories of moon sighting. Starting Ramadan on one day and having one Eid in the UK. Yes, it's that time of the year again. We're covering the issue tonight. You can call us now with your question, your comments and your outline. Is it possible to get unity on this particular issue? 01924 231 083. You can message us on the WhatsApp number, which is on the screen now. And if you're watching this on Facebook, good evening, Assalamu alaikum. Post your comments in the chat box and we'll read some of them we will read some of them on air. Put my teeth back in. Anyway, tonight first we head to Birmingham in the West Midlands, where we have a conversation with Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz, a man who has a lifetime of experience on moon sighting about unity amongst Muslims here in the UK. Then we head to York to talk to engineer Qamar Uddin about the Islamic Crescent observation for the UK's organisation, local sighting and a British solution that will bring all Muslims together. We finish off in Blackburn in Lancashire with a representative of the New Crescent Society, Mohammed Quraishi, about their important work in this area. So you want to hear from you tonight, you can call us now on 01924 231 083. Messages on British Muslim TV across social media. Alternatively, you can send us a WhatsApp number. The number is on your screen as I speak. The questions we're considering tonight. How inconvenient is having different start days for Ramadan and multiple Eids? Why can't our Muslim organisations, imams and mosques come together on moon sighting? And that final question, do you support a British solution, Britain-wide solution on moon sighting? Please share your thoughts on these questions on 01924 231 083. Messages on WhatsApp. You can post on social media. We'll read some of the comments throughout the programme. Okay, so let's get on with our first guest. And very importantly, a very important guest. Now, for decades, there's been a serious division among British Muslims on the beginning of Ramadan and what day we should celebrate Eid. While some believe that the birth of the new moon is sufficient to start the month, others counter that you must have to see the moon before starting the month or complete your 30 days and start your new month. Now, it affects you at home and your families. Even people in one family have done Eid on different days, depending which local mosque and town and city they come from. So what is the underlying issue? And is there a chance in our lifetime that we can get unity? My next guest is someone who has decades of experience in this area. He understands the science around moon sighting and he's trying to unify Britain's various Sunni Barelvi Muslim groups and mosques. In the previous years, there's been two views of moon sighting in their community, and there's been a division, personal attacks and blowback, which is causing a lack of trust, not just in our mosques and our institutions, but also in our imams and ulama. Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz is a member of the New TV Moon Sighting Board. You remember him from last year when he was one of our guests. And he's been waging a battle to educate people on moon sighting. Pleased to say, Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz is live on British Muslim TV from Birmingham in the West Midlands. Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz, a very warm welcome back to the programme. But first of all, let me say congratulations to you, sir, on your doctorate that you were awarded, the only doctorate that you got from Birmingham. Congratulations from me, more formally. Your mic seems to be muted. There we are.
Thank you very much indeed. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be on your program and talk about a subject which is close to the hearts and minds of Muslims, not just in the UK, but all over the Muslim world.
It is.
In particular, and also to the scientific community who have a keen interest in the science of moon sighting.
Yeah, well, once again, congratulations on your doctorate. It's not just for you, for your decades of experience, if I may say so, but it's also, I think, testament to your work in the community. So we salute you, sir, at the top of that our program. Firstly, can you briefly set out the two viewpoints? I set it out. One is based on the birth of the moon, and one is based on the sighting of the moon. birth versus sighting. What's your viewpoint on the two viewpoints that I've just outlined?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Those are two viewpoints which explain the conflict in moon sighting. The birth of the moon is simply what we call the conjunction of the moon. But the Islamic month does not start with simply the conjunction. The Islamic scholars will inform us, and they do inform us, that the month starts by the sighting of the crescent. And as far as the scientific principles are concerned, the conjunction is purely a period where the sun, the moon, and the earth come in one line. At that point, there is no possibility of sighting the moon. Now, there are those who would say that is sufficient to start the month, and they will rely on calculations. However, those who do advocate that principle or that stance, whenever they make the announcement, they do not say that we are starting the month because the conjunction has taken place. Their statement is always stating that the crescent moon has been sighted, because they deep down understand that if they were to make this wild statement that they are starting the month simply on the conjunction or the birth of the moon, then there will be chaos in their country. And the biggest evidence I could provide for that is Saudi Arabia, whose calendar is based on the birth of the moon, but yet their announcement contradicts or goes in a different direction to their actual principle.
Okay.
And this is where let me ask you this question.
Sorry, Dr. Saab, let me just ask you this. You just expressed the two viewpoints. Which is the correct approach according to the Sharia and the Sunnah in your view?
The ulama are the best authorities. Neither myself or yourself are authorities on that subject. However, for the past 20 or more than 20 years, after consulting ulama in the UK, both Arab scholars and also scholars from the subcontinent, all of them have categorically said that in the history of Islamic moon sighting, never has anybody advocated following calculations in lieu of actual sighting. So everyone is unanimous that the only way forward and the correct principle of starting the Islamic month, which starts from the month of Muharram to Zulhijjah, is actual sighting, not birth of the moon and not following calculations.
Okay, and then the second question, which is coming through on WhatsApp. As I said, if you want to put your question to Dr. Zahid Nawaz, please do use the WhatsApp facility, because it's coming to me, and I just wanted to give you this question. Is it true that the Saudi government have advised for people around the world to follow their own local communities and their own country announcements? And have they, Saudi Arabia, announced the day of Eid incorrectly in previous years?
I have to be very, very transparent. Saudi Arabia has never advocated that people living in foreign lands should actually follow their principle. I have been engaging with the Saudi embassy for many, many years, and even the Imam of Kaaba, Sheikh Sudais, may Allah give him a long life. He was here in the West Midlands, and this question was put forward to him. And he said that people living in their own countries should not follow Saudi Arabia. They should go on their own system of moon sighting. However, in spite of all these requests, we see that every year there's a certain group of people or a cluster of mosques which follow the Saudi announcement, not realizing what the Saudi moon sighting principle is. And the impact, the knock-on impact is that we have division here in the UK. European communities.
Now, that division in previous years also exists within your community, the Sunni Brelvi community. Last year, we saw division within that community, has been going on for a number of years. How damaging is that? The sense that you can't even bring together your own community, regardless of the other diverse aspects of the British Muslim community?
Since this trend has emerged, that certain people living in different lands are following Saudi Arabia, unfortunately, within our own Brelvi group, there have been ulama who have fallen for that culture that they also want to follow Saudi. However, they are realizing that if they were to follow Saudi, one, they would face huge opposition from their own communities, but they can't make their minds up. So they have coined this new term known as global moon sighting. And this is a backdoor entry that they want to follow Saudi, but they can't openly or explicitly say that they wish to follow Saudi.
Isn't that the fatwa of Imam Ahmed Raza?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Global moon sighting, the term is an abstract idea which has no basis in the history of Islam and also is a false assumption based on scientific grounds. And if I was to translate the word global moon sighting into Arabic, it would be called Tawheed Ahilla. Brother Shafiq, never mind the science or the detail of it, even this terminology itself speaks out that this is inconsistent. You would ask me why? Tawheed is singular. Ahilla is plural. You are trying to put singularity and plurality.
Raja Zahid Nawaz, stay there. We just have to go for a very quick break. I know you're going to stay with us. We're going to stay there, continue this conversation, take more of your calls on 01924 231 083. Join us on the other side of these very important messages. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq, exclusively here on British Muslim TV, live from our studios here in Wakefield in Yorkshire. We're taking your calls. We're going to open the lines on this particular topic because I know it's a very relevant question that people ask in loads of homes across this country. And the number that you want to call now is 01924 231 083. You can get in touch with us on our social media handles as well at British Muslim TV. We've got an exclusive conversation with Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz, who is my special guest, joining us live from the city of Birmingham. He is a member of the Moonsighting Board for Noor TV, which is based in the Midlands. And Dr. Zahid Nawaz, before the break, we talked about the division amongst the Brelvi community. What have you personally done to bring these two groups together?
We have established a culture of moon sighting within the UK. 12 months announcements are made for all of the Islamic calendar, not 1 month, not 2 months. Our announcements start from Muharram all the way to Zulhijjah, which are broadcasted live on Noor TV under the supervision of the chairman, Bir Noorul Arifin Siddiqui. Our board comprises of both people in the field who do actual moon sighting. We collaborate with them on sharing information, and also the religious supervision comes from leading ulama and the authorities, both in the UK and also in other parts of the country. And I must emphasize, not just ulama belonging to the subcontinent. We share and receive information from Arab scholars as well from different parts of the world to enhance our understanding on moon sighting. We educate our local community through providing in-depth analysis on why we have the dispute, what's the root cause analysis and what's the solution. And we have established a system of moon sighting here in the UK, which I always refer to in the Urdu language as Nizam-e-Royat.
Yeah.
You will find it of interest that those organizations who are very active or start creating lots of noise in the month of Ramadan, Shawwal, and Zulhijjah, after these 3 months, they are not to be seen or heard on the horizon of the UK. Complete silent. And I make
Raja Sahib, can we've got lots of calls waiting as well, and I don't know how many we're going to get through, but let's go to the first one. We've got questions coming through on social media. So if you are joining us on Facebook Live, you can comment in the box and we'll get through some of those comments throughout the program. Apologies if we're not able to get through all of them. Time is of the essence. Let's go to line 1. Assalamu alaikum. You're live on British Muslim TV.
Wa alaikum salam, rahmatullah, barakatuh, Shafiq, and to the respective guest, Raja Zahid Nawaz.
How you doing, my brother? You okay? What do you like to say?
I'm doing fine. Basically, I mean, something I just want to try and maybe it's a misunderstanding on my side. The Muslim brothers and sisters, if we look at us historically and geographically, we came from deserts. Our deen obviously travelled through the desert, through oceans, mountains and forests. And we had scholars that invested a lot of time on working out the time for Salah. They had instruments. MashaAllah, the scholars were people of knowledge. And that was in those times. Today we're living in the age of information. And my appeal to the brothers and sisters watching, there's a simple solution to this problem, is somebody needs to just get up and just say, brothers and sisters, what we're going to do here in Europe, we're going to invest in an observatory, which is now going to meet the needs of the Muslim community, and it will have a lunar calendar.
Okay, thank you. And the reason I'm cutting you off, I do apologise, is we've got loads of calls waiting, and I want to go back to Raja Zahid Nawaz as well, because this is a question that's been constantly asked. There's lots of questions around the confusion, the division actually divides families, and it makes us a laughing stock with our employer, with our schools, with our everyday life when it comes to booking time off work and you don't know what day to book off. Do you understand the anger and frustration that exists within those families?
I clearly understand, because I am impacted by the division every year, and being at the forefront, on the front line of moon sighting, I get to hear all kinds of pleasant language and not so pleasant language as well from other Muslim communities. And I think what I need to emphasize through this program is this, that the Islamic calendar is not just a civil calendar. We are talking about our worship here. And that is very specific in the months of Ramadan, Shawwal, and Zulhijjah. So this isn't a season of booking holidays or just saying, let's agree on a date. We have to combine, as the brother on the call said, the scientific knowledge, and also the religious authorities have to give their approval. If we were to negate one of these, so let's ignore the religious community, for example, you would never, ever achieve unity. In fact, you would achieve more chaos. If you ignore the entire scientific principles and the calculations and just rely on religious observations, you may also find a conflict. What we have done, we have combined scientific knowledge as a secondary source, and the primary source is actual moon sighting.
Okay, so I
just want to congratulate the New Crescent Society and other organizations who have developed a local moon sighting culture here in the UK. Brother Shafiq, this is the future.
Okay,
when our elder generation, by the grace of Allah, we all have to one day depart this world. When they all depart, the young generation now have a mindset of local sighting, and they are already
Can I just ask you this question?
Doing sighting.
Yeah, let me just ask you this question because we've got lots of questions coming through. As again, we're going to keep those lines open and take questions, but please do keep them brief, if you may. There's a question on WhatsApp saying, when you say the ulama have the authority to announce moon sighting, which authority are we talking about? Because if you're from a Pakistani background in Birmingham, for example, in your city, there's a different authority. There's a different authority for the Bengalis. There's a different authority for the Arabs. Why can't there just be one authority? Why does it have to be so many different authorities?
What I am talking about is the interpretation, the religious opinion of the ulama. Okay. Now, being from the subcontinent, we cannot ignore the views of these subcontinent scholars here in the UK who've done a tremendous job in terms of promoting Deen and the principles, and we cannot ignore and isolate them and just to turn towards calculations or just the observatory. We have to combine, take their religious expertise, and also present the astronomical data.
So you're not rejecting. So you're not rejecting calculation at all.
Absolutely.
You're saying you're taking it into consideration.
I am taking calculations as a secondary source.
Okay.
The primary source is the religious
source in Sharia.
Sumu li royatihi wa aftiru li royatihi. And Brother Shafiq, those who are advocating just calculations need to go back in history. In the entire Islamic history, the first person to advocate just calculations, and I mean calculations in lieu of actual sighting.
I'm really conscious. I've got
one final point, because I think this would be the crux of my talk. That was somebody in Egypt known as General Johar. He was a general, and he advocated that we abandon actual moon sighting and just rely on calculations. It caused chaos in Egypt to the extent that the Qazi of Barqa in 953 was sentenced to death. And the reason for that sentence was that he said that I would not follow just calculations. I want to accept calculations as a secondary source, and my actual source will be sumu li royatihi,
which is the Sharia principle. Okay. We've got about 3 minutes left, and I just want to ask you, and apologies to those people waiting on the phone and messages. We'll try to get your comments included after the break. But let me ask you this. How can people with so much difference, how can you bridge that divide to get the people who follow Saudi Arabia to compromise on the birth of the moon, and to get those that follow Morocco to do the same? What's the middle ground in your view?
The simple solution is education and awareness on the science of moon sighting, and also rejecting wild statements with evidence. The statement, for example, that the British horizon is abnormal. This is absurd to make that statement. Those people who make this statement, you ask them a question on your platform, Mohammed Shafiq, that how many times have they gone out in the UK to cite the crescent? Where is their data? But when you ask this question to the Crescent Society, the new Crescent Society, they will now give you a bundle of data which demonstrates that in the UK, you can cite the crescent moon. So it actually absolutely rebuts the statement that the British horizon is abnormal.
Okay, and one final question.
It's scientifically bizarre.
Okay, one final question. And I say this every time. I hope you can come back and we can have a longer time on this. And it sometimes feels as if we're rushing this. But I know you've agreed to do that. And we'll take more of your questions in future shows in the run-up to Ramadan. Let me ask you a final question. What are your views about what will happen based on that calculation? I understand the Islamic principles around that, but just what will happen in Ramadan and Eid? What sort of dates are we looking? Is there going to be 2 Eids, 2 Rosé, based on what we've discussed tonight?
It's very unfortunate. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but this is my prediction that we are heading towards a Ramadan which will have two different dates, because on the 1st of April, anywhere in Makkah, in Saudi Arabia, there is absolutely no chance of sighting the crescent. So, and Brother Shafiq, I just want to add.
I don't know how long I've got. Okay, sorry, I completely ran out of time there, Raja Zahid Nawaz. I hope, apologies to you for that. We're coming towards the end of our time together. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're going to join us again, and we'll continue to agree to come back to you as we get closer to the date to get your prediction. We'll take a quick break and then we'll carry on the conversation after this. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq, exclusively here on British Muslim TV. We're broadcasting on Sky Channel 752 and across social media. Wherever you are around the world, a very warm welcome. Now, we're going to take some of your calls as well in this segment, 01924231083. You can get in touch with us on our social media handles, British Muslim TV. Now, let's continue our conversation on moon sighting. In 2008, witnessing the debacle and division over moon sighting, my next guest set up the Islamic Crescent observation for the UK to revive the sunnah of moon sighting. On the 29th of each Islamic month, they go out and look for local moon sighting here in the UK and then publish the evidence via social media. Engineer Qamaruddin is the founder of the organisation alongside Sheikh Suleiman Ghani. You remember he was our guest last year. And many other colleagues are part of his organisation. Now, 14 years later, since they launched, how do they think they've performed? And are we any nearer to that unity that we were talking to Raja Zahid Nawaz about? I'm pleased to say Qamaruddin Saab is joining us live on British Muslim TV from York. Qamaruddin, assalamu alaikum, and a very warm welcome to the programme.
Thank you for inviting me to your program. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's the pleasure's all mine, sir. And lots of people watching this at home really interested in this topic. I suppose a criticism of us, we leave it until the run-up to Ramadan this year to have this conversation. But let's start with the first question. Tell us a bit about the Islamic Crescent observation for the UK that you set up.
Okay, so this goes actually quite way back. Back in 1998, I joined an international moon sighting organization called ICO. And we were collecting news from throughout the whole world. And we found that Muslims around the world were doing Ramadan and Eid over 4 and 5 days. And that was mind-boggling because maximum should be 2 days, if not 1 day in the whole world. So why is it 4 or 5 days? So we found the cause of that, and we addressed the authorities who are causing that problem, and they made some improvement. But that did not solve our UK problem because we were faced with abnormal weather conditions. So that's why back in 2008, I started a UK version of ICOP just to address our own unique problem with the help of a few other ICOP members. And one of them is Sheikh Suleiman Ghani. He is traveling abroad at the moment.
He is, yeah.
The reason why I delayed doing that was because moon sighting relates to ibadat, and this issue should be led by ulama. So we were a group of scientists and engineers and professors and all that. So when we had some ulama support, that's when we started 2019, and we were looking for the moon on the 29th of the old historical criteria, which is based on foreign count. And then some 10 years later, we realized that we are only seeing maybe a couple of times in a year on the 29th. The other months were on the 30th. So that is not encouraging our local sighting groups to motivate themselves, because we need to train them when and where to see the moon, to build their confidence that when they see it, they know they've done it correctly. And that's why we started 2 days of sighting from 2017. And over the last 4.5 years, we find that if we look back at the data, and we start counting from our own sighting, then we fully meet the Sharia requirement of 29 and 30 days based on UK sighting.
But why can't
we're promoting now? That is
Qamaruddin, why can't we just be simple and follow Saudi Arabia?
There are two reasons. One is that, and I am giving you this information, not hearsay, not third party, directly from the authority. Saudi Arabia, in their wisdom in the 70s, they decided, why are we following a Gregorian calendar, which is based on Christianity? Why don't we have a Hijri calendar based on a lunar? So their scientists told them, look, you can't have visibility in advance. But what we can give you is birth of the moon in advance. That is accurate to the second. We can give you next 50 years birth of the moon calculation. So Dr. Fadl Ahmed, who is from Indian background, was a lecturer at King Saud University, came to London, met Royal Greenwich Observatory, Dr. Yallop, and said, give me some birth of the moon data. And Dr. Yallop says, here it is. Take all this eclipse and birth of the data. And he went away and he told the king, well, I've got lunar calendar for you. And they said, Bismillah. The ulama said, no, we can't accept this birth of the moon data, because they knew at the time of the Prophet, those Jews were able to calculate the birth of the moon. And that is why we were forbidden to follow the birth of the moon 29.5 days. We should follow Ru'ya. So what they decided, right, let's do this birth of the moon calendar for civil purposes, administration, and leave the sighting decision to the ulama. Unfortunately, this birth of the moon indirectly biases the witness, and they claim to say they saw something they couldn't. And the Saudi astronomers themselves published a paper saying, look, all this decision made by the Riyadh court before the birth of the moon, after the moon is below the horizon, this is unreliable.
Okay.
And when I asked the Saudi authorities, you are saying to me that your calendar is not based on visibility, birth of the moon, but on your website, there is no mention of that. And they say, oh, that is true. We need to change that. So how are we going to change that? They say, we have to write to the president, Dr. Weil at the time, 10, 12 years ago. So I say, fine, let's do that. So I requested them to change their president address to state clearly that their calendar is based on the birth of the moon.
The
later,
birth and not the actual sighting
sunset, but
of the
it
moon.
may not match the visibility of the moon. So we are not. So second point I want to say is that the sighting of the moon, even if it is true, which is a day later, every country has their own count, because the whole world does not see the moon at the same time.
Okay, I think you've answered that. Let me ask you the follow-up question, if I may, and I apologize if I'm interrupting you. Time is of the essence, and I want to get as much out of you as we can. Let me ask you about those that follow Morocco, say, or South Africa. Are they wrong as well?
You see, the reason that we went to foreign countries in the first place is due to exceptional case. In Sharia, local sighting in your own place, in your own country, is the original position. Now, if you cannot sight it continuously for many, many months, then you have to expand your geographical area to include other normal places. And so due to exceptional case that we could not sight the moon, and the reason is because we were looking at the wrong date, but put that aside, because we couldn't sight the moon, we had permission to expand and go to Morocco. And let me point out that you can't go to any country. We can't take it from Algeria. We can't take it from France. We can't take it from Spain. Why not? They are more closer to UK. The reason is, as soon as you go to foreign countries, the ulama will tell you, the scholars, that it has to come from an authority to authority. Only within your own area you can take direct witness from a person sighting the moon. But as soon as you go to the jurisdiction of another authority, it has to be from that authority who has verified that this sighting report is acceptable in Sharia. We went to Morocco at that time because we could not see the moon in the UK. But now, if we compare the two, we can still see the moon in UK about 8 out of 12, same as Morocco, about 4 differs. But because we are different sunset, difference of sunset between winter and summer, in spring and autumn, it's almost same. So exceptional case, we can Morocco, most certainly not South Africa. That is mind-boggling because it's on the opposite hemisphere. When it is summer here, it's winter. when it is winter here, it is summer there. We have up to 4 to 5 hours sun differences. And we can only share when the visibility of the moon between sunset and moonset is in this sharing same. So following South Africa is totally wrong. I know the reason they did it in 2008, and this is to minimize the division in the community who are following Saudi Arabia. So if we leave all the foreign countries, leave Saudi Arabia, leave South Africa, leave even Morocco, and
we're going to talk about that in the
focus on UK.
Okay, we're going to talk about that in the second part of the program. We're going to come up to a break as well. Let's remind you of the number 01924 231083. We've got about 3 minutes before our break. Let me ask you this. You say, Kamaruddin Saab, that you want to revive the sunnah of moon sighting, but those that follow Saudi Arabia claim that they are also following the sunnah. Now, for ordinary Muslims watching this program, who is
not?
Let me ask you the question. For ordinary Muslims watching this program around the world who are totally confused at that, who's telling the truth, you or them?
Okay, you have to define what is sunnah. Okay, sunnah is actual sighting from your own location. Did the Prophet ﷺ in his lifetime went to Damascus and say, have they sighted it? Did he came to Andalus? Have they sighted it? Did he came to Maghrib? Have they sighted it? No. He said, did the Medina sighted it? And let me clarify, city of Medina and city of Damascus, they are two capital cities of two different countries. So we have to sight in our own country. Now, I know it is a political boundary, but it is allowed in Sharia to have a qadi whose jurisdiction is decided by the political boundary of a country. So to follow your own country, that is the primary source of teaching of Quran and Sunnah. I will challenge any of your mufti to say otherwise, and they will say in the 14th century Hijri, Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah says, sighting from the east, valid from the west. If you look at that time, the communication was in a small area. So he was talking about the east and west of their own region, own area. He did not talk about the region of the whole world. And the whole world is not day and night at the same time, if you look at here. I asked many Darul Iftas in 2018, give me proofs of global sighting, and they said now the day and night is not same throughout the whole area. So those old opinion is no longer applicable. It's only half the world is day at any one time, and other half is night. So how can the whole world see the moon at the same time? You can't see the moon at daytime.
I want you to stay there.
Nighttime.
Okay, stay there. Just pause there, sir. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue the conversation. We'll open the lines as well. But I just want to add some comments that are coming through. Hafa Samjad from Burton and Trent, he said, why is it that we only ever have contradiction with the sighting of the moon for Ramadan and no other months? All the other 11 months must be fine. Otherwise, surely the 29th Shaban would fall on different days for everyone. My question, Moonsighting, is as below. As Muslims in the UK, our objective should be to unite the Muslims of the UK. Is it possible that the whole country only follows Saudi? If not, will everybody, including those who follow Saudi, Turkey, etc., resort to following Morocco only? Real question we were talking about there. We're going to take a break. I promise after the break we'll take more questions to Engineer Kamaruddin Saab, but also your calls as well on 01924 231 083. This topic seems popular. Join us on the side of this. Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq. We're talking about moon sighting. We're talking about the division that exists within the United Kingdom, in particular when it comes to Ramadan, and it comes to Eid al-Adha, it comes to Eid al-Fitr. My special guest is Engineer Kamaruddin, joining us from York. A very important conversation we're having with him. We're going to open the lines as well. Let's take a couple of calls on 01924 231 083. Lots of comments on social media. Can't get through all of them, so I do apologise in advance for that. So, Kamaruddin, can you just set out what's the process that you follow locally with your groups here in the UK on the 29th day of each Islamic month? Just very briefly set out what you get up to.
Okay, so we are doing a parallel run at the moment. Before we were on following Morocco 29th, as the nearest country because we have a lot of fatwa. But when we have got a lot of people sighting locally, and we realize that we can also do UK sighting, provided we follow UK count, within 2 days of moon sighting. On the Morocco's 29th and UK's 29th. And over last few years, for example, in 2019, we had 55 locations throughout the UK. People are reporting moon sighting. But in 2019 and 20, we had 130 places. People are reporting sighting and reporting. And that is the sunnah. The public must do sighting and reporting. Just sighting and keeping quiet is not fulfilling the sunnah. The sunnah includes reporting your sighting. Okay? And then in order to follow our own sighting, we need to have...
I was just going to ask you a follow-up question to that. I was just going to say, people don't have to be qualified. They don't have to be astronomers and stuff like that. You provide the training and support to people at a local level.
Definitely, definitely. The sunnah is very, very simple. Just look at where the sun's on the correct date, and you look to the left of sunset in UK and you'll sight the moon, but the date must be correct. If you're looking for 29th of Saudi or South Africa or Morocco, you may not see it at all, or you may see it few times. But if you look at when the moon is visible on the UK horizon on UK 29th, you will see about half the year, and the other half the year will be on the 30th date. And because of weather, you can't see the moon due to cloudiness. Then we can train you how to use simple apps from your mobile phone, just like how you find Qibla direction using GPS compass. We can tell you how to use that to find the direction of the moon, and you will be able to see it within 2-3 months, the moon from then on. And we'll give you the training and all the backup data that you need to be able to be confident on yourself to see the moon every month, inshallah.
Are you surprised that in
the organization is Moonsighting UK.
Okay, well, are you surprised that in 2022, with the advance of science, that we don't get to see any visual images of Saudi Arabia? Because I know when you get to see the moon and you've got images, you publish that on social media. Are you surprised we don't get any of those images from Saudi Arabia?
This is because Saudi Arabia do a publicity stunt. They will show a lot of equipment, and then some bloke will say they sighted it. I have been to a lot of this question personally myself, because I did research by living and working in Saudi Arabia. And it is very, very surprising. They will say they see it when the sun is still out. And this is, I challenge. Initially, I told their scholars, these people are not telling the truth. They are total lies, because the moon is not in the horizon. What do they see? They say, no, don't say that. They are psychologically biased, and they see a memory image. And there are some research to indicate that if you tell people the moon should be visible, sometimes they claim it is visible. But we have a solution for that in other countries. We say we need to have a lot of large groups of people to see it, not one or two. But in their country, they will accept the claim of one, and they don't even have to say, I testify. Whereas we say, you have to say, I testify, I saw the moon at this time and at this date. So, but if you are in their country, it is a legal obligation to follow their decision. You're not following their moon sighting. Follow their decision. And your Hajj and your Umrah is in the hands of Allah, okay? So that is, but you are not obliged to see their announcement from outside their boundary. Even the neighboring country like Yemen and Oman do not follow Saudi Arabia, neither do Saudi authorities ask anybody to follow them. Yeah. We just get it from social media. And those who follow Saudi Arabia, you'll see about 8-9 months, they don't even say Saudi have claimed the sighting, because Saudi do not at the moment. They might do in future, but we're not obliged to follow them, and it is not a religious requirement either. And people who use this global sighting misconception, thinking the whole world is night at the same time and moon is visible at the same time, they're only using that to follow the authority, because it is less work for them. So this laziness needs to be removed, and we get to get active and take control of our situation. And like our brother from New Crescent Society, Imad will say, bring the moon back home, okay? Moon Brexit it. So we will have everyone united our own sighting, just like how the Quran and Sunnah tells us to do.
We've seen the beginning of British Muslims. You talk about the New Crescent Society, which we're talking to after this segment with you finishes. we're seeing British Muslims now recognizing the importance of that local sighting. Excuse me, how important has your work been over the last 15, 20 years to get to this point?
First of all, it was awareness to identify the problem and give people the training. So we laid the foundation, cutting through mountains, going over the rivers, building the bridges, and creating the network. Now anybody can come and run along those tracks. You can have your own organization, do sighting and reporting. You are following the Sunnah. So everybody else that comes after us are following the foundation we laid. So before, some 20 years ago, I used to spend 3-4 hours every day answering queries because I was on an international network of Moonsighting organization. And I found that I am repeating myself and I don't have the time to continuously do that forever. So I put a lot of the commonly asked questions in knowledge base with supporting fatwa, scientific facts, and Quran and Hadith. And we put it on Moonsighting UK website. So that's moonsighting.org.uk. Go to publication section, you'll find fatwa and you'll find so we have minimized a lot of personal one-to-one question answer. And plus we are giving you documentary evidence with photograph, with testimony, which fully meets the requirements of Sharia, and it is scientifically valid. So a lot of people who are both scholars as well as scientists as well as astronomers, and they're supporting us to revive the Sunnah of moonsighting in the UK. So we are here to serve the community. Anybody wants to ask us for help to train them, to discuss with them, we are on standby. Just go to contact us and fill in the form. And if you need a training, we are there. Or if you want to have your own organization, do your sighting and reporting, as long as our 29th matches yours, we can help you supply that information. And this is what will not happen, those who follow South Africa and Morocco, because 10 out of 12 months, they may be out, or 8 out of 12 months. They might see only 2 months in the whole year in UK. All the other months, they will not. So we can't help them with sighting report. If they start doing tours of sighting as a parallel run, UK's 29 and other country 29, so we actually can help them, give them testimony and sighting report and help them.
So actually you're actually producing a British solution here, where you're asking those that follow Saudi Arabia to stop following Saudi Arabia. You're asking those that follow Morocco and South Africa to stop following Morocco and South Africa. And your approach. How hopeful are you of that unity of moonsighting in the UK?
I think we need to have discussion with all the community leaders, and there are other neutral organizations already working at that. And there is some resistance from those who have been traditionally following Saudi Arabia, because it is easy to just get the news without doing any sighting, and they can make a decision before sunset and just announce it soon after. But once we have them on board, and if that produces unity, inshallah, I am hopeful within a year or so we will be united. We are looking optimistically with our Braille community, because I think they are in a larger number than the other nationalities. So if they can support the local sighting, I think we can get the rest of the people who are maybe majority Saudi followers in London, but the other parts of the country, they're not. I think they will see that it will be greater unity following our own sighting. And there is nothing against Quran and Sunnah not to do that, but there is everything there not to follow distant countries, because it produces hardships.
I just want to ask you one more question. When you see announcements being made, as it was last year, even before Maghrib here in the UK, how does that make you feel?
It makes me very, very disappointed, because that is totally against the teaching of Quran and Sunnah. Why? Because the Quran tells us, وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالْقَمَرِ إِذَا تَلَاهَا, by the sun and its glory, by the moon as it follows the sun. Now, the tafsir said, Qatada radiallahu anhu, Sahaba the Prophet ﷺ, that it means the sun sets, then moon becomes visible. So moon only becomes visible after sunset. Okay, so the sunset is not whole world at the same time. Sunset happens only at a specific location. So in this ayat, it is telling you do local sighting, and then moon follows the sun. That means moonset happens sometime later. And so between sunset and moonset is the visibility of the moon. You can only announce after the visibility of the moon, you have sighted the moon. But because you have outsourced sighting to foreign countries, and you are, say, bringing overwhelming reports and all that, that is only was a justification 20, 30 years ago or before, because we could not sight the moon. Even if it was possible, we did not have the manpower to do local sighting. But now we can, and therefore all these people who make announcement just before sunset or immediately after sunset must stop doing it, because you are contradicting the teaching of Quran and Sunnah. And I challenge you, come offline and explain to me that you have a justification for so. So please, no more foreign borrowing. Even if they announced 5 hours ago, you must allow the local sighting to take place before you make announcement, even though if we are borrowing it. And this is between sunset and moonset of your local country, not of a foreign country.
Thank you. Well, sadly, we reached the end of our time together, Engineer Kamaruddin. I want to say thank you for the opportunity and the honor for having you on our program. And we look forward to welcoming you back as we develop this particular story. Kamaruddin Saab there joining us live on British Muslim TV. He's agreed to keep in touch with us as we head towards Ramadan and Eid this year. So we'll be revisiting this topic, I'm sure, towards the end of next month as well. He was joining us live from York in North Yorkshire. After the break, we head to Blackburn to talk to Mohammed Quraishi from the New Crescent Society about their important work and their viewpoints about a UK solution. And we'll take some of your calls as well. 01924 231083. Don't go anywhere. I'll be waiting after this. Welcome back to Questions with me, Mohammed Shafiq, exclusively here on British Muslim TV. Now let's move on to our final guest on this important topic. And what this shows you is there's lots of interest about moon sighting and getting the right day correct. Getting the day correct is very important to all of you at home. I get that based on the feedback we're getting, the calls, the comments, and the questions that are coming through. The lines are really, really busy here in the studio. And I promise you we'll revisit this and bring some of these people together to try to see if we can find a solution here on British Muslim TV. Now, the New Crescent Society was set up to move the British Muslim community towards a UK-based calendar, as Kamaruddin was outlining there just before the break, which does away with the need to follow other Muslim countries. If the moon is not seen for any particular reason, then the traditional rules dictate that you complete 30 days. But how can you bridge the divide between those two formulas? One based on the birth, one based on the sighting that we've heard tonight, but we've been hearing for decades. Mohammed Quraishi is a member of the New Crescent Society and he's based in Blackburn. Pleased to say Mohammed Quraishi from the Society is joining us live from the town of Blackburn. Mohammed Quraishi, assalamu alaikum and welcome to the program. Great to have this conversation. It's been a while.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's been a while since I've seen you, so you're looking good, mashallah.
You used to frequent Blackburn often, didn't you?
I did, indeed. I spent lots of my time of life there, but I'm good to see that you're doing well, sir. First of all, we've had two viewpoints here on the program tonight. The predominantly Saudi opinion, which is based on the birth of the moon, and then you've got the sighting of the moon, and then you've got those who follow South Africa and Morocco as a shortcut. Can you set out what the New Crescent Society view is on these two approaches?
Right, our view on approaches is that, look, at the end of the day, these are different opinions, they're different fiqh positions, but what's the problem essentially is that, respect to everybody for following whichever opinion they follow, but the problem we actually face here in the UK is that these positions have not brought us any unity. Okay, so this is what the crux comes to. This is why we encourage moon sighting. We do moon sighting. We want everybody to do this, follow the sunnah, go out and see that moon for themselves, and bring that moon home.
I like that. Bring back the moon home. Really good. So is that the reason why the New Crescent Society was set up? To try to bridge that divide? Because I find lots of younger people are now starting to understand the seriousness of the moon sighting issue. Let's see, sorry, if we want to take a couple of calls. I promise to take a couple of calls. I know, Mohammed Quraishi, you've agreed to take some calls as well and some questions from our viewers. 01924 231 083. Lots of calls waiting. Let's go to line 1. Assalamu alaikum. Oh, okay, we'll come back to it. Anyway, so what was the need of the New Crescent Society?
So yeah, we've got, like you said, there's an issue of unity. People doing Ramadan, Eid, both Eids, on different days. So that becomes an issue. There's also the issue of families splitting up. When do we do Eid? When do we tell our boss we want a day off? All these things become an issue. There's this. I mean, our previous guests, alhamdulillah, good credit due to them. New Crescent Society, we view both Raja Sahab and Brother Kamaluddin as comrades in moon sighting, and this is essentially beginning of unity. We need to look at things in a more positive light. It's okay looking at those differences, but we need to bring everyone together. And I think all our efforts are now geared towards local moon sighting, which is actually a fulfillment of the Sunnah. And we're bringing the reason we're getting, I think, the youngsters on board is that just like this program is going, live on Facebook through British Muslim TV, we also go every month live for moon sighting on location. We have Zoom all over the UK, and on location we will report the moon sighting, whether it's positive or negative. And I think that social media element is gaining traction with the youth and people at home who are seeing that actually moon sighting is possible in the UK.
Because there was a conception, wasn't there, in the elder generation around the fact that we can't see the moon here because it's cloudy, so therefore we're not going to make the effort. We're going to subcontract this to, say, Morocco or South Africa.
And remember, like our previous guest said, this was an exception to the rule. Okay, what we here at New Crescent Society and with Moonsighting UK and with people like Brother Raja Sahib who encourage everybody to go out moonsight the moon, what we've proved now, and inshallah this Dhul Hijjah, it will be 5 consecutive years of actually going out and moonsighting data.
Yeah.
What we proved is that is a completely misconception. That notion from the 80s that we cannot see the moon in the UK because it's too cloudy is now, to want of a better phrase, debunked. But credit to the efforts that were given in the 80s. We now do have people.
Is that because sorry, Mohammed Quraishi, I'm asking you this, interrupting you, but is that because the science has moved on that we have to change our circumstances as well?
No, I don't think it's not only the science that's moved on. I think
technology. Let's just say technology.
No, it's not even technology.
Okay.
It's human beings like us. It's Muslim like us from around the country who can go out and sight the moon and report it on different locations. Now, it would have in the 80s. It would have taken a telephone call, but now it's it does make it easier. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think the technology gap is that bad. I mean, obviously it is because we're doing this right now, but it is in that sense, but not in terms of quickness necessarily, because a phone call would have taken.
Okay.
I don't think the manpower's there. Look, let's be honest. Look, we can't expect our ulama and we can't accept our imams who are busy leading the prayers and organizing the masjid to also go out and do moon sighting. We need people who dedicate themselves to do the moon sighting.
Okay. So it's about inspiring the young people as well. So let's see if we can take some of your calls. I know because you've agreed to take some calls. 01924 231 083. Let's go to line 1. Assalamu alaikum. You're live on British Muslim TV.
Wa alaikum assalam. Mohammed Shafiq, can you hear me?
I can, yeah, loud and clear. What's your name? Where are you calling from, brother?
My name is Hanif Dudwala and I'm calling from Blackburn.
Thank you, sir. What would you like to say?
What I wanted to say, Mohammed Shafiq, was that I don't think we should be bringing people on to criticize other criteria or other formulas. I think the need of the time is to try and unite all the different groups. And with that in mind, the main two groups at the moment is the Central Moonsighting Committee, and I see that you don't have anyone on your panel from this particular group. And there's also the London 7 mosques, which hold a good crowd who follow their criteria. So I would say to you...
Can I just say on that, we did reach out to those communities. We reached out to Regent's Park Mosque, the East London Mosque. We reached out to a number of organisations that generally tend to follow Saudi Arabia. None of them were available to come on. The invitation is still there for them. I mean, what's your view? Do you think we should do away with following Saudi Arabia, Morocco and South Africa and just follow a UK-based system?
Is ready for unity. I think the buzzword and the need of the time is unity. And if you take the lowest common denominator from all the different moon sighting groups, then local moon sighting is the criteria that will unite everyone.
The local moon sighting is the thing that will unite communities. Let's go back to you, Mohammed Quraishi. I mean, that sense, as I said, there are a group of people who really don't want to engage on this, because I've been trying as hard it was to get you on the show and your organisation. It was difficult to get some of these other voices on the show as well. They promised to look into it, but there is that sense that people are not being honest about wanting to see that unity.
There is that, but I think there's also a fear there of, you know, what the congregations at the masjids will say, what their sentiments would be, because it effectively be amounting to saying that, what we've doing for these past decades, we were wrong. And I think that doesn't sit well with some people. And I think we just need to get over it. This isn't a big issue. It's not as bad as you think it is. It's, you know, it's...
But it is bad, because you've got families, you mentioned it, you've got families who, in the same house, who have Eid on a different day.
Yeah, but what I mean is not bad in that sense. I'm talking about bad in terms of...
Oh, sorry.
It's not an issue that we change a position and we should dig our heels into save face. Look, we've moved on. You know, youngsters, the newer generations, and not even the older generations who are out there moon sighting. You know, have a bit of trust in us people who are actually going out doing the moon sighting. Give us that much respect, because we're doing it now. There's people in England. We've alhamdulillah, across all our group's efforts. You know, we have people from Jersey all the way to the Shetland Islands off the coast of Scotland doing moon sighting, and sometimes it's a bit disheartening to feel that we report a moon sighting and it's falling on deaf ears, because we're doing what the Prophet essentially asked us to do, is what we're doing.
Which is to go out and see the moon. As I said, we're probably, I don't know how long we've got until the break, a couple of minutes, but I just wanted to set this out to you. After the break, we're going to talk to you about the New Crescent Society, how you go out and do the work that you do, and how people can get involved. So that we'll leave that for the end. But in a sense, you've got a group of people here in the UK who just think it's easier to follow Saudi Arabia, and they follow Saudi Arabia. And there's a group of people who think we have to follow Morocco because it's the nearest Islamic country. We'll follow South Africa because it's a similar mindset and they have local moon sighting there, so we'll just follow that. You think there is a middle ground to bring these two people together. Have you done any work to bring these two opinions together?
Well, not too long ago, back in 2019, it seems far away, but it was just a year before the pandemic.
Seems like a lifetime ago, just before the pandemic, yeah.
Yeah, just before the pandemic. The director, Imad Ahmed of New Crescent Society and others did arrange a big meeting down at Greenwich Observatory, and all the heads of the different masajid and organizations were invited, and alhamdulillah, it was well attended. So we did lay some groundwork a few years ago. Unfortunately, the pandemic hit us, and inshallah, we're looking now to pick up where it left off and bring everyone back again. Hopefully, that's in a Greenwich or a different location where we're open to that. You know, let's get back around the table and let's start talking, because look, this year, come the month of Dhul Hijjah,
Okay.
we would have completed our 5 years of moon sighting data.
Mohammed Qureshi, stay there. We just need to go for our final break of the program. Wow, where did the time go? When we come back, we'll continue the conversation with Mohammed Qureshi. As I said, we'll talk to him about how you can get involved and revive this sunnah of moon sighting. Join us on the side of these important messages. Assalamu alaikum, welcome back. My guest is Mohammed Qureshi, live on British Muslim TV from the great town in Lancashire called Blackburn. Anyway, let's continue to open those lines. 01924231083 if you've got a question or a comment for him. Now, we talked about just before the break, Mohammed Qureshi, around the sense of bringing those communities together. And we were just reflecting during the break that here at British Muslim TV, let's have this on air. British Muslim TV generally tends to follow the announcement coming out of Regent's Park Mosque. Lots of groups and organisations and mosques follow the East London Mosque, Green Lane Mosque, Gumgol Sharif Mosque, in Birmingham, Noor TV, Takbir TV. Then you've got the Shia community with their own announcements and their own opinion. Is there a way to bring all these key figures, as in, if you get Regent's Park Mosque on side and you get East London Mosque on side, Gumgol Sharif Mosque and Green Lane on side, 4 big mosques in the UK that lots of people follow, you're nearly there, aren't you?
We're almost there, yeah. We just need to bring them around the table, like I said before the break.
Yeah. And when you get them around that table, they're very much, you know, because I look, I've been around a while, and so I've sat in some of these meetings, observed them. That it's really hard to tell somebody who's following Saudi Arabia to stop following Saudi Arabia, follow Morocco or South Africa. Why not just follow Saudi Arabia, make life so much easier? Because
well, I think the difficulty there is if you're simply telling somebody to stop following one country, i.e. Saudi Arabia, and switch to another country, which is going to be, in this example, Morocco or South Africa. But what we're saying is, like, no, actually don't follow any foreign country, just stay where you are in the UK and go out and sight the moon, fulfill the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, revive that sunnah and stick to a local sighting which is in accordance with the sunnah, because at the end of the day, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his companions went out and were sighting the moon where they were, you know, in the Arabian Peninsula, and we need to look for the moon where we are. Every measure of time is done down to locality, whether it's every hour, whether it's salah, whether it's day to day, month to month, year to year, it's all down to locality. So bring the moon back home. The moon, the stars, the signs that Allah Ta'ala created are up there for us to measure time. Let's look up to the skies.
Okay, so tell us about the actual schedule, because you want to do away with following any particular country. You want to have a UK-wide calendar that's based on calculation, but also then verified by those local moon sighting decisions. Just tell us how is it going to work? How does it work?
Oh, that's just a slight misconception. The calculations are a guide. The astronomical are a guide as to what's visible, what will be visible, and what won't be visible. Like, not what I mean by that is what's present via calculations.
What's the potential?
Those calculations are pretty accurate, but we do need to verify with the eyewitness the actual moon. Now the thing is, things like the sun setting and the moon setting, and you know, the sunrise and the moonrise, they are calculated to a T, as is the position of the moon and the sun. They are calculated precisely, and even the Quran, Allah Ta'ala says they move in, you know, by precise calculations. However, you remember the crescent, the first crescent, the new crescent that appears is very, very small, a very wafer-thin crescent, and we need to see that. Now, that seeing with the human eye can vary. It can vary on whether it's cloudy or not. Even if it's an early moon, very difficult to see, and there's slight variation with atmospheric conditions, a slight haze in the atmosphere, we might not be able to see it. So that can vary. So that's why we need that eyewitness to corroborate it. But ultimately, we will go on the testimony. And as the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, mashallah, the Prophet ﷺ has left that contingency there for us, that if we don't see the moon, if it's too cloudy, complete 30 days. We will never go to 31, for example. It's either going to be 29 or 30. And I'm telling you, coming up to 5 years of actual moon sighting data, that's verified by human sight, has shown us that we have a perfectly viable UK-based Islamic calendar of 29 or 30 days consistently coming up to 5 years now.
So you've got the formula, you've got the solution, which is a UK-based solution, local sighting.
And also, don't forget, we've also now got the misconception of the 80s that we cannot see the moon in the UK.
That's tackled as well.
That isn't true. So the raison d'etre, the very reason to use it as an exception to the rule, to go away from the ideal normative Islamic position to another solution, the very fundamental basis that decision was based on doesn't exist anymore.
So what would you do? Would you set up a national British moon sighting board and get representation from the likes of Regent's Park Mosque, East London Mosque, Goldcliff, Green Lane? How would it work practically?
At New Crescent Society, we're focused on doing the moon sighting, getting it reported, documenting everything, documenting our data. Number one, local moon sighting. And number two, ultimately, we want to put heads together and come out with a solution. If it's not a perfect solution, if it's not purely UK local, if it's slightly variant, so long as there's a consensus on a calendar, and ultimately a calendar has to be on consensus. So long as we have consensus, we can move forward on a united position. But look, we're idealists. We admit it. We want to follow the Sunnah. We want to do it according to that. That's why we put that as a solution. And this misconception, because look, our ulama wanted that solution. Everybody was like, we need to go out and see the moon. It was only because of this idea that we can't see the moon actually in the UK. It's too cloudy here. Only that notion is what said, like, we need to look for an exception. We can't follow the rule, so let's find an exception. That exception, with all due respect, no longer exists. Therefore, we can return back to the normative Islamic position, return back to the Sunnah, because that thing that we can't do it doesn't apply anymore. And we've proven categorically at New Crescent Society, with moonsighting.org.uk and others, we've proven categorically with now almost 5 years consecutively that it is possible to see the moon in the UK. So that misconception is a misconception.
And how do you get, because we're in the middle of winter now, how do you get, am I right, you got to see the moon of Rajab?
We've got to see mashallah.
And how did you get over that boundary of the cloud? Just tell us about that.
So the way you get over the boundary of the, and even if we had complete cloud cover over the whole, we'd just complete 30 days. But let's talk about aside from that, the way we got that is have more locations. Have people in North London, South London, East London, in Cornwall, in Jersey, in Birmingham, in the Midlands, in Yorkshire, in Lancashire, in Manchester, in Scotland, in Shetland, and the North East, in places like Teesside and Newcastle. Have people scattered everywhere, and we've got this communication, better communication than what we used to have, and we can, now we can just get it out there. And you know what it is? I mean, personally, I use my a camera. Okay, I use a camera to sight the moon. Okay, well, I sight it myself, but as documenting, I take photographs. But you don't need this camera. Everybody has one of these. Yeah, people are snapping the moon with their smartphone cameras. Yeah. We can do it now. We have the technology. We can document it in the palm of our hands. The only place I don't see people snapping the moon, but yet announcing it, is a country that we were talking about before the break.
Yeah. So I just want to ask you one more question around this. This question has come in. It says, why can't we just follow the astronomical, the data telling us when the moon crescent will be visible, not the actual birth of the moon or the conjunction, just the crescent itself, because the calculation is 99.99% accurate.
Right.
So that people don't have to go outside to view the moon, just stick to the calculation. Can you explain why that won't work?
Because the visibility data is more to do with the presence of the moon above the horizon, and there's degrees of visibility. So even those maps, visibility maps, will have gradings of visibility. So that's an issue. So like A code is like, you know, if it's clear, you definitely see it. B code is, you should see it. And, you know, C code is, you know, if atmospheric conditions are good, or you might need binoculars to first spot it, and then you might. So there's variance, and that variance isn't as perfect. So on borderline cases, we still need people out there to see with their eyes.
Let me ask you one final question. We're coming towards the end of the program. I think we've got less than 3 minutes left. How can people get involved? Get the training, get the support. I know Qamaruddin is doing similar work. How can people get involved with New Crescent Society?
I want everyone at home to pay attention now. You need to get on to facebook.com/New Crescent Society, join our page. You will get live notifications every month when we go live on Moonsighting. Contact us through our Facebook page. We're also going to now, especially come up to Ramadan, put our trainings out there. Our trainings are live on Zoom, so we have a presentation. We go through it. Register for those as they up and coming. Get the training. We'll then link you up to a local group in your locality via WhatsApp, and communicate with us, and we will take you to the locations and show you how to sight the moon, you know, in practice, as well as just the theory that we do online.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Mohammed Quraishi. Thank you for all that you do, and we look forward to getting you back. I know this is a very popular topic, not just here on British Muslim TV, but lots of people watching this on social media as well. Thank you so much.
Jazakallah khair for having us on.
I look forward to welcoming you back, and send my regards and best wishes and prayers to your founder, Imad. May Allah give him a speedy recovery. Now, how do we get to that goal of one Ramadan and one Eid? We need to move with the times, as the New Crescent Society and Qamaruddin Sahab, and also Raja Zahid Nawaz, Dr. Raja Zahid Nawaz, has articulated a real sense of those. If you can bring the movers and shakers in the community together, you can get a solution and come up with a British solution on which everybody can unite, that meets the Sharia compliance and the standards that are required for moon sighting, but also meets the developing needs of the new century and the new way of working. Thank you so much to all of you, and to the team behind the scenes for putting us on air. Thank you so much. I'll see you same time next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.